Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? Caught me in between. Anyway, listening to a little bit of Seals and Croft. Summer breeze brings back very good memories for me. What a time to have been alive, and I was. So, hello everyone. Hello Caroline. Hello Lois, Warrior Queen. Excuse me, Lori. Good to see you. Franny, good to see you as well. And Darth, good to see you. So, I hope you're having a great Thursday. It is a beautiful day here in the state of Colorado and actually enjoying it. So, little snow, little wind, nothing like it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But hey, weather is changing. No doubt about it. So, how are y'all doing? Boy, a lot of people in here. Light Bear, me, good to see you. Ian, Sabrina, Lost in Space, how are you? Lori, good to see you. Jamma, 42, good to see you. My goodness, I have to take the speed reading class. Hello, Joshua, how are you, my good friend? The Roots and Branch Homestead, welcome, welcome, welcome. Robert, good to see you. Tyler, 432. Love it. My Skies 5D. Hello. Abby, good to see you. Good. Leanne, good to see you. Wow. Hey, folks, our world is changing. You know, we have all seen the drama play out on worldwide television. There's something else much more to this. But Julius Assange. On his way to the United States. I don't know. Yeah. Join me tonight on the Steiger Perspective over on the Artist First network, artistfirst.com. The title of my commentary and perspective tonight is going to be Metropolis and 1984 have arrived in a blended fashion that we had no idea. We're going to look at just a couple of the headlines and see that, I don't know, just my personal opinion. It looks like the walls are caving in, huh? So, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here, spending an hour of your precious time with me, and however many come and join us on this. I just want to invoke favor upon your life. Boy, if there's ever a time in our day and age that we all need favor, I would say that this would be it. So I just invoke favor upon you, favor of the universe. Universe is made up of a lot of different energy, a lot of different frequencies, a lot of different dimensions within dimensions. And I believe favor permeates everything. And so I just speak that favor into your life. May your barns and storehouses be overflowing. That's prosperity, folks, and full restoration. You know, the crops that we've all lost due to bad decisions, treacheries, betrayals, et cetera, et cetera. We've all lived it. That's part of the journey of being a human. May that restoration be given back unto you. And then that'll go into your barns and your storehouses. So that means prosperity, which ultimately means that favor worked. Oh, I love it when it comes together. So anyway, thank you for being here. It's amazing to see what's happening. We're actually making a video diary of this. Who knows what happens to our surrogate cells, our digital cells. There is, as I have shown and done programs on, there is a completely different reality within our reality, this digital matrix. I'm going to show you a headline that it keeps coming up. All the math shows that we're living a simulation. Now, I don't know what consciousness is. We're going to get into that more. Consciousness. Yeah. We're going to get more into the book. And by the way, tomorrow, I have a very special guest coming on, and I want to get her last name correct. It's Tricia, and I believe this is correct. Nedvidzada. I believe that is correct. Tricia is a remarkable individual. We're going to be discussing how private space exploration and participation will help us transcend. Very interesting. On the topic as well, we will be talking about why do we have this intense urge today to explore the universe and travel beyond Earth? That's very interesting. Today, we have the Israelis, Israeli company, landing a privately funded craft on the moon, dark side of the moon, by the way. And when we begin to look at this, there's also something happening. The singularity of consciousness. It's going to be fascinating. So join me tomorrow with Tricia. I think it's going to be rather a very exciting, tremendous broad topic that where we're headed. Today, we're going to be talking about something that, boy, I keep on, pounding the table. Folks, it's happening. It's happening. And tonight, again, Metropolis in 1984. Now, go on YouTube, go and watch the original. I think it was 1929. I think I'm right about the date, maybe a little bit before, a little bit after. It was a silent movie, what they called a talkie. You didn't have the talkie. It was a silent movie, excuse me. Very interesting story on how that whole premise of the film was built upon. And when you think about today, 1984, we're there, folks. This is no longer what if. It's now a matter of how we survive in this. I think it's going to get much, much more difficult to, how shall we say, unplug, get off the grid. And I don't mean just the grid energy-wise. There's a secondary net that encompasses our planet that literally affects our brains. And you can say that if consciousness resides within the brain, then something that impacts the brain is going to most likely impact consciousness. It's a deep subject. It really is. So join me on that. I can still speak freely on the Artist First Network, where unfortunately the censors have become so draconian in their approach on YouTube that it's becoming very difficult to determine what is free speech. I thought as an American, and since YouTube is a United States company, that they have to abide by the Bill of Rights, the very Constitution that allows them to prosper as they basically reap off of us. But apparently that may not be the case. So join me over there. We'll have a much more, how shall we say, freer conversation. So speaking of which, check this out, folks. I tell you, we are in a different time. In this one here, this is the LA Times. Can a computer write a script? Machine learning goes to Hollywood. It's all the indications that apparently our species is running out of creativity. Look at what's coming to the box office this summer. It's nothing more than a rehash of the same type of dribble that Hollywood's been putting out for the last decade. It's like the good directors and writers are non-existent. And so what did they do? Well, they send you full of, superhero BS. How many different superheroes can you get? I mean, now you got Captain America being a lesbian woman. All right, fine. Captain is merely just a title. doesn't denote male or female. All right, fine. And if it wasn't for the classic rock and roll, Hollywood would be hurting for certain. But now we're going to have machines. Artificial intelligence is going to be writing scripts. I showed you what the early artificial intelligence, when it interpreted different symbols. Folks, this is what the UK did this week. I think yesterday. Got many listeners over in the UK. They have started something. They have lit a fuse that I don't think their parliament thought enough about. Obviously, they did not have people that were awake to provide counsel, input. This is highly draconian. Now, and mark my words, probably within the next 5 years, if not sooner, that's only 60 months, your individual country will control the content that you will or will not be allowed. I dare say some of the topics that I cover will probably be considered inappropriate. Folks, this is not good. The whole purpose with the internet was to have a forum, whether it be good, whether it be bad, for the exchange of ideas, knowledge. When you start having imperfect minds trying to regulate something that they don't have an understanding about to begin with, or their perspective is so narrow that it's with blinders on, this has a cause and effect. And it will have a cause and effect. You may have to, in some cases, subscribe to an alternate internet. And most likely, many countries will make that illegal. It's coming, folks. It is coming. It is coming. This is one. Scientists develop clairvoyant machines capable of predicting the future. This is like story number 4. I went back in my archives. And so as I see this continue to reappear, that doesn't happen by coincidence. And they're actually using what I believe, and I did a video program on called Project Aquarius. I believe this is the technology that they're using. The machine can now give what they call, what we know the looking glass device could do, was actually give an unlimited potential amount of futures where you could study each one. Once you studied a potential future, then you could begin to digress backwards, re-engineer events, key points that you can see that will lead to a conclusion. You can literally freaking manipulate the whole freaking planet. Think about that for all those who are the ones who, I don't know, have this sick hunger to see the apocalypse come. You may get your wish, darling. Here is another story in digitaltrends.com. Again, all the evidence is pointing that we are most likely, all of us, individually, collectively, are in a simulation of another thought, of another being. And maybe it's as the metric did say, maybe in fact, God is a machine, nothing more. Always has been, always will be. If we're going to study a little bit more on the whole concept of, good, evil, etc. But it would appear that it very well may be a machine. Yeah. Lastly, for all of you people that have Alexa and Google Hubs and the thing that you think that your smart device is talking to you and you can talk to them, folks, you got a lot of perverts that work for these companies. They listen to you. And human nature being as it is, within these companies, I dare say, you probably have a high incidence of a new type of digital voyeurism. Employees getting off on your private moments. It's happening. Now, people just fluff this off and say, no big deal. Yeah, fine. Yeah. It's like, okay. Folks, this is a prison. We're going to continue with Ariel. We haven't forgotten about her. But I think when you're trying to build a thesis, you have to bring as much empirical evidence as you can. And many times that evidence is not able to be collected at one time. It continues to evolve over a period of time. And the evidence is becoming overwhelming that this is not freedom. This is not the illusion of the Jetsons. We had no idea what it meant for a machine we call now artificial intelligence to watch us. And then you've got those who are profiteering off of us, feeding off of us, gathering all of our data. Tonight, we're going to be discussing as well, if you bought a car within the last 5 years, your car is a spy. And the new models, you won't even have to worry about filling out a form from an insurance broker. They're going to know immediately. They're going to know how you drive. They're going to know exactly your faults. Most likely that will be turned over to law enforcement, begin to build a profile you on that one. But yeah. This is reality. Today's topic is freaking, you're not going to, well, without further ado, I'll present to you the presentation. I always do PowerPoints. Why? Because it's an effective tool for communicating an idea, concept, or thought. So, this is the Sumerian hieroglyphs. What was shall be again. There are many that contend the interpretation of this is that this is us. We're not human in the sense that you think we are. We now know that. I'm about to show you something that brings this out full front. Oh. So this is the creation story. This is Adam and Eve. This is where the Bible, the book of Genesis, got the story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, many other ones than today of the Abrahamic religions today. This is where they all started from. Now, you can see where Islam is represented, and you can get a lot that's in here, how it's represented today. As my slide showed, entitled, You Put Human Genes Into Us. We're smarter now, and now you know how we began. Folks, this is much, much deeper than what you think just by the headlines. This is being done in China. I can only assume potentially an all Occam's razor that, you have to consider all possibilities and then eliminate that, then that which you have left is the truth. And in that, I don't think it's China just by themselves. I think countries like Russia, United States, India, Israel, just to name a few, are right there, if not further ahead. This is from Recorder.com. You can leave the link right here. It's titled Making Monkeys More Smart and Human-Like. Scientists have used gene editing to insert human brain gene in a monkey. 2 weeks ago, I did a complete show on this. And here it is. So I started doing researching on this. I said, well, now this is real interesting because as it's been shown, there are no true human beings. That's a myth. There isn't anything known as a true human being. I don't think that there has been for potentially 1,000,000 years, if ever. I mean, it's just becoming this obvious. So what we're dealing with here is red blood cells, antigens. It all comes down to this, folks. We've talked about this before. These are the different type of blood types that are us. I like what Robert Spear wrote. Go over and check his channel out. Buy his books. The Species with Amnesia is a phenomenal book. Deals extensively into this whole thing. How did the rhesus hemoglobin get into our antigens of our blood? If mankind evolved from the same African ancestor, then everyone's blood would be compatible, but it is not. Where did the Rh negatives come from? Why does the body of an Rh negative mother carrying the Rh positive child try to reject her own offspring? And he is correct. Humanity isn't one race, but a hybrid species. I'm O negative. That's what I am. My blood, I can give blood to all of you. Doesn't matter. But there's no way we could ever had originated from A, Adam, A, B, Eve. Impossible. That's why the story's fake. Doesn't exist. Never has. We're waking up from that, and that's why world religions are in a panic. Because we're leaving by the millions each month. And that's dangerous. Now, you have to look at this from a control perspective. You've got to be smarter. Brilliant statisticians look at things typically a dozen or more steps ahead of you. So what percentage is rhesus negative in your country? Look at this, folks. This is another piece of evidence. Something is missing here. We've been searching for it. Paleontologists, they've been searching for it. Archaeologists, they've been searching for it. They took our memory away. Why this guy may be more real than what any human wants to even think about. Look at them. Their blood is in us. And now we've done something, I don't know. My question is, what have we done? Have we crossed a line? Is there any way to go back now? They made this monkey smarter. Not just one. 11 of them. These are beyond ethical questions. These are questions. These are moral questions. Has man now assumed the position of God? Is this how we began? And where is God? We're creating a new species. Man is, multiple of them. And here's what the article says. For the first time, a team of Chinese scientists made use of gene editing techniques to make monkey brains more human-like. By the end, the monkeys, rhesus macaques, got smarter and had superior memories as compared to the unaltered monkeys. Researchers edited the human version of a gene known as MCPH1 into the macaques. Excuse me. The gene made the monkey's brain develop along a more human-like timeline. The gene-hacked monkey showed better reaction times and improved short-term memories in comparison to their unaltered peers, as per China Daily. This is not some freaking lab experiment. The implications of this are far-reaching. It goes on to say the team successfully created 11 transgenic rhesus monkeys carrying human copies of the MCPH1. They said that a transgenic monkey model is practical and to a large extent can imitate the human specific status. Now, ask yourself, why did they do this? Why were they even contemplating this? What is the MCPH1 gene? Do you know? I almost bet you don't. Well, I'm going to help us all because I did the research. This was the hidden clue. I said, well, what the hell are they doing here? What is it with this one particular gene? Well, I think you're going to be shocked when you find out what is the MCPH1. You're going to be able to walk around going, I know what the MCPH1 is all about. You're going to be smarter than everyone around you. So let's go. This gene encodes a DNA damage response protein. The encoded protein may play a role in the G2M checkpoint arrest via the maintenance of the inhibitory phosphorylation of the cyclin-dependent kinase. Basically, you've got a chromosome. It's damaged. There's a protein around this. From this, mutations in this gene have been associated with primary autosomal recessive microcephaly 1 and premature chromosome condensation syndrome. Alternatively, spliced transcript variants have been described. This is where you get birth defects, folks. This is where somewhere along the line, for those who are carrying. Now, my wife and I, we had the Berkeley test done. We had that done back in 2012. And then it was breakthrough DNA research technology. And what the Berkeley test is that it literally looks at your complete genome and shows where the potential of any damaged chromosome is. And then looking based upon that, they can then begin to make pretty good predictions in what you could potentially subjected to diseases, et cetera, even passing on to your children. Again, we're dealing with this. So this becomes a big deal. Because when you begin to see where they're going with this, every aspect of us, of a human being, now comes into play. Mapping out. When you look at this, they're looking at us as a species, not races of people, No. We're definitively going back and trying to get the recipe for the cookbook that made Homo sapiens. We're trying to figure out what happened. How did the interbreeding of the species? And we love to have coitus. Our species, and going back through all the other species of man, we enjoyed a good romp in the cave or in the field, in the trees. Hey, they had nature back then. Today, you'd be arrested for it. So check this out. So look at this damaged DNA here, and it throws off this MCPH1. Now, this is a timely chromosome in the condensation, because what happens, in layman's terms, it collapses the cap on your chromosomes. And when you get collapses like that, that's where you start getting sick. Now, they know this. And this got me to thinking, so why are they looking particularly at a protein around a damaged chromosome? Why? I mean, what's going on with this? Well, there is a PDF that I have, and in fact, it was sent to me this morning from a listener, and it's dealing with molecule therapy. And in the case of this white paper, it deals with targeted delineation of entire chromosomes using CRISPR. Now, if you haven't kept up with CRISPR, what's going on, you're going to wake up to a very scary reality, because all of this is tied in with one another. So this all goes to our DNA, which then is attached to a gene, which then comes back, and you can see I've already done all this. When we talked about the neurons, how something, whether it was through nanobot technology, some sort of technology, turned off our intelligence, also turned off our longevity right inside the nucleus. And of course, the nucleus is connected by the chromosome within it, within the cell. This is how far down we're talking about here. And when you begin to think how far on the molecule level we're talking about small, and see the big impacts it's having, it's freaking scary. So here's some more of this MCPH1 feature. You can see they've done the protein coding of the gene itself. They've broken it down now into the different categories: sonora, pseudo, antisense. And then this gives the protein coding, which changes things. Now, this is what really got me. I said, so, all right, so why are they doing this? What is the purpose? It's one conclusion I have come to. They're trying to increase our brains. They're trying to increase our IQ. They're trying to increase our cognitive reasoning capacity. And it has to do with this microcephaly. It's a gene regulating the brain size, which continues to evolve adaptivity in humans. And you can see, check out China. That's why we know we didn't come from the same place, folks. Not all came from Mama and Papa. It may be that we were, in fact, manufactured. The evidence is showing that. And when you look at this map here, you can see something is afoot. Imagine if you started introducing into your particular subspecies gene set the ability to pass on the chromosome, the gene, to increase cranial capacity, brain, and I'm going to show you why they're looking at a specific part of the brain. You take the view of 5 generations down the road, you would have a group of superhumans doing it right under the world's nose. This is exactly what I think is the goal here. You can draw your own conclusions, but I find something very suspicious when I look at this. So this gene, this microcephaly, the MCPH1, look what it does. It regulates brain size and has evolved under strong positive selection in the human evolutionary lineage. This white paper that I left the link down below will show that one genetic variant of this gene in modern humans, which arose, they estimate, some 37,000 years ago, increased in frequency too rapidly to be compatible with the natural drift. This indicates that it has spread under strong positive selection, although the exact nature of the selection is unknown. The finding that an important brain gene has continued to evolve adaptatively, anatomically in modern humans suggests the ongoing evolutionary plasticity of the human brain. It also makes microcephaly an attractive candidate focus for studying the genetics of human variation in brain-related phenotypes. Phenotypes. Do you know what that is? That's lab verbiage. It's a fascinating white paper. You'll have to buy it. But they cover some very interesting facts. I go back, look at this. Selective. Something is implied has been selectively used. The gene card summary for MCPH1 gene is a protein coding gene. If you can code, it's very interesting. Are we able to hijack the code, insert our own code? Now, with this, diseases associated with the MPCH1 include primary autosomal recessive, and primary autosomal recessive microcephaly, neuromuscular type of gene diseases. They talk about among its related pathways are cell cycle, mitotic, and active, the PKN1. This gets a little bit more deeper, but the fact is, they have now understand the annotations related to this gene included identical protein bindings. So they're onto something. They're looking at this from an engineer, designer's point of view of creating a brain that's already existing, finding out what the problem is. Where are we seeing the weak links within the chromosome? How can we begin to alter this and begin to restack so that all the way down to the nucleus, all the way to the mitochondrial DNA. Now, the implication is that in chromosomal condensation and DNA damage induced by cellular responses, they believe that this may play a role in the neurogenesis and regulation of the size. Are you ready for this? This blew me away. Of the cerebral cortex. What the freak is going on here? I'm just laying the breadcrumbs as I found them. Now we're dealing all the way to the cerebral cortex. That's the thick layer, folks. Imagine you increasing cranial capacity along with gray matter, increase neuron production. And get this. So the cerebral cortex is the outer conveying of gray matter over the hemispheres. This is typically 2 to 3 millimeters thick, covering what they call the gyri and the sluci. I think that's the sluci, yeah, containing the cortical regions that have somewhat simpler functions, termed the primary cortices. These include areas directly receiving, you ready for this? Sensory input, vision, hearing, somatic sensation, or directly involved in the production of limb or eye movements. The association of the cortices subserve more complex functions. Regions of the association of the cortex are adjacent to the primary cortices and include much more of the rosal part of the frontal lobes, also regions encompassing areas of the posterior parietal lobe, the temporal lobe, and the anterior part of the occipital lobes. These areas are important in more complex cortical functions, including memory, language, abstraction, creativity, judgment, emotion, and attention. They are also involved in the synthesis of movement. Remember, this all started in this freaking story about the scientists in China putting human brain genes into a human monkey's brain. This is where it led me to. Folks, they're jacking with some us. Now look at this. This is why they used the rhesus monkey for this. Positive selection of the MCPH1 in primate evolution. And look where they put us. I don't know. You draw your own conclusions. However, a few scientists also raise concerns regarding the technique, some even calling it reckless and dangerous. Oh, really? I'm glad that someone else got there first to say it. So the question becomes, why? What's the purpose here? And where are we in the chronology of events here? As I said here, we must ask, what is the real purpose of this research? What is trying to be done here? What is the big race? What is the true end game? I don't know. I can be as positive and I can be, as transcendental as anyone. But I also have to look at this as a thinking, sentient being and go, wait a minute. What is the end game here? They're rearranging the deck. I mean, where does this lead us? I don't like the conclusions to where this is going. And this has far other reaching ramifications on here. I mean, the question I ask, is it already too late? I mean, I'm not making this up. I spend hours putting this together. Go out there and do your own research. I dare say most would completely have missed what the MCPH1 was. It seems that is the single purpose here. harnessing that genetic code. I mean, this is not good, folks. This is not far fringe thinking. This is not, skating on the edge. This is just looking out what human geneticists are already doing. I mean, are we looking at potentially the Planet of the Apes? I was meditating before I came on here. I do that. I try to get things where I need to be. And it hit me. Someone's going to make the announcement that they've made an animal talk. Now, we know primates already can use sign language. We know gorillas are well adapted to sign language. I am just saying, I have a sense the headlines will come out where they will actually have maybe a primate that will actually gain something that sapiens apparently gained 70,000 years ago, the use of our voice in cognitive connection. I'm just reading what Franny was saying. I mean, this is a fascinating subject to me because it has broad-based implications. If you start stepping this and you start looking at this in the whole transhuman movement, that the tech controllers rapidly spending billions and billions and billions of dollars getting to that point to where we can transfer our actual consciousness. They think that one of the stumbling blocks is we can do the machine coding, but they need what we produce. Machine can't do that. And that's what they're striving for. And the theory that I happen to buy into, that the stumbling block here is our decreased ability of the cranial capacity of our brains. How do we get more neurons to fire? How can we bring up the IQ? Think about this, folks. If we could bring up the human quotient, intelligent quotient, by 30 points, it still doesn't bring the population to genius level yet. We have to raise that another 30 points. Now imagine if you had a select breeding program that all you did was breed males. Well, in this case, you could actually have females because in many cases, the females would have unique capabilities that their male counterparts couldn't. But imagine genetically altering a group of humans that would so outthink the rest of the populace, they would outthink every other government. I mean, you look at the idiocy that happens in Washington, D.C. I think the average IQ of the congressman there is probably about 101, and that may be stretching it. Could you imagine a foreign country that got into a genetic breeding program specifically increasing the cognitive capacity of the human brain, firing more neurons within the brain? They would be able to outthink the United States Congress in 1 hour. They would have us completely in checkmate within 1 day. Is that maybe what the end game is here? The world is run by idiots. Look at the world governments. They're more moronic than most of the snowflakes that are out there. No slight to the snowflakes. But seriously, all because of one story. And all you have to do is do the research. Whoever gets that code first, you have a major strategic advantage over your enemies. I think that's what's exactly going on. The rise of concentration camps, retraining camps, excuse me, will soon become worldwide. Imagine the laboratory opportunity you have with confined individuals. Isn't that what Ariel said, that why many of us are here? Because we're nonconformist, rebels? Maybe the old empire isn't as far away as she said it was. We'll pick up on this more. But all of this, folks, is leading not to a good, happy place. Elysium is not the destination, and I don't see it on the schedule. And people like myself, they don't really care anymore. If it ever gets that strong, they'll shut my voice down along with others of the same liking. And that's where it's coming. I mean, who else put a presentation like this together? And all I did was present to you what I was finding. Rapidly, my mind was beginning to deduce what these clues were. And I'm going, well, whoa, whoa. And when you get to the bottom of where I left and stopped, it's frightening. I mean, it's this, you don't like to even think about it, but think about it, we must. I don't know. I love the fact that we can come here each day, share fellowship together. We've built a family here. There's people that I've never met, but I am certainly going to be looking you up, whether it be here or on the other side. Energies will be known. But yes, that's right, Franny. Did you see that? Old world monkeys and new world monkeys. Isn't that? And that's how they look at us. Old humans. And now they're calling us the modern age, the modern humans. Well, I like being a rebel. Always was, always the guy answering the questions. I had a teacher, I remember in chemistry, actually sent me out of the room because I kept on questioning his methodology. And so there it was. Oh, anyway, folks. So what do? Well, what we're going to do is that we're going to come together. Wasn't John Martin just wonderful? I mean, that's a dude you just want to hang out with, man. I mean, I just absolutely, really dug that dude's energy. And you know what? We're going to do this, folks. We are going to do this. I was thinking on this and was talking to some people to think we could be the first group ever to come together for the purpose and the intent of forming a human array. I'll have John, we'll be doing this live. I can see this, and I can see him playing his music and leading us and directing us. And could you imagine the psychic energy? I'd love to see 2,000 or 3,000 people participate in this. Folks, I think that we could send a message. Maybe we can open up a portal that we can send a message in a bottle and say, hey, we need help down here. They're screwing with us, man. Can you send a ship down here and maybe pick up those of us who'd like to get the hell out of here? But we're going to do it. I see this being wonderful. And as John said, this can be in the day or the night. I think that, it doesn't matter. It's still us. And I could see this wrapping around the world. Can you see that? I can envision that. Could you imagine 2,000, 3,000 people, human beings around the world focused in on the same intent to looking up into the heavens and say, hi, hey, we like you guys. Sending good vibes to you. Can you just come here and maybe give us a little edifying, how you doing? Yeah, I think we can do this, folks. Anyway, this has been fun. All right, folks, tomorrow we have Trisha coming on. Looking forward to this. She reached out to me, and I think that after I listened to her, so this is perfect. Tonight I'll be on the Artist First, 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain, 7 Pacific. Be good to yourself. Thank you for joining me. Something to think about. Something's going on. No doubt about it. You are the best. There's only one of you. You were brought in when they couldn't jack with you. So, think about that. You're a beautiful, beautiful spirit. Let it shine bright. Continue to always look bright. And folks, we will see you later on for sure. Be good. All right. Bye-bye.